Well, howdy folks, and welcome out to the claim again. It's a super windy day out here, but that's okay. That's not going to stop us from getting the gold. Well, as you know, I've been working this wash down here and getting some really good gold out of here with this red clay material, as you can see here behind me. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use that drill rig that's over there behind me, and we're going to actually punch holes a little further up from where the areas that I'm digging, because I want to see if this continues a little further up. All right, so what we're going to do is probably punch holes about 10 feet apart across here. I kind of want to get on the other side of this Joshua tree that's behind me and see if this continues on up, because as you can kind of see, we're looking towards the west. And as the ground rises, it begins to fan out. This is kind of an arrayo here that we're working in. So I want to see if there's more of this material so I can get an idea of how much volume I've actually got here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the drill rig to punch the holes, and then we'll take all the material from the holes, and then we'll swing it around here, and then we'll run it over here at the gold rattler, which I got set over here. Instead of just panning it all out and screening it, just throw it in the gold rattler each time for each hole, run it through real quick, then we can pan down the concentrates. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. How this thing works, but I'll kind of go over it briefly for those of you who have not seen my previous videos. Okay, this is just a two-stroke mortar attached to a auger bit down here. It's a 6-inch bit, okay? And what I did is I developed this framework around it so that way it takes the torque out. Because most of you who ever operated one of these things know whenever you're drilling down into the dirt and you bang into a rock, this whole thing is going to go and like this and just twist you to death, okay, and break your shoulders. Well, with this framework that we have here, this actually takes all the torque and the load off of your shoulders, so now you can only just concentrate on drilling straight down, make nice, smooth, perfect holes. So this works out really well. So I got this is basically a hoist that you use for your boat trailers, and that's what this is. So all you have to do is just kind of release the latch here, and you can see I can lower it down, and I can raise the unit up. You see that, how that works? And of course, we'll demonstrate that a little bit more later on. So it's a pretty simple setup, and it's like I say, it's a little two-stroke motor, and I'm able to drill down as far as 8 feet if I need to. Now, when we're going to be working today, I think we're only going to need to drill down just a couple of feet. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to measure out this section into 6-foot lengths, and then I'm going to go up about 10 feet and then do another 6-foot length. So we'll do 5 of them all together, okay? So I got these little orange flags here, and I'm just going to just label them. So I'm going to make this number 1, okay? And then we'll just stick it in the ground so we have it marked where we need to drill. And then the next one will be number 2. And then we'll just put that in the ground right over here. Wind's still blowing, okay? Now, it doesn't have to be super accurate, but now what we're going to do is we're going to have this all flagged all the way down the line and then another line, and then we'll drill in these sections to see what kind of gold we get. All right, before we get started, what I like to do is prep the ground first. Now, this is number 1 flag here, so what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of clean everything off. I'm just going to take the flag out for a moment, okay, and we're just going to kind of scrape the dirt, move some of the debris out of here that's kind of laying around. That way it won't influence our drill rig, okay? We'll try to keep away from most of the bushes and the natural perennial type plants that are out here to kind of preserve everything as best we can. And for any plant that actually might be in the way, we'll just kind of drill next to it the best we can, so that way we're not affecting it. So just kind of flatten out the ground here. I'm going to clear it out. Whoops. And like I say, it's windy out here, so I'm going to lose my hat. What can you do? What's great about this drill rig is that it's on wheels, okay? So you can maneuver it around to different sites. So all you have to do is simply tip it up like this, and then all of a sudden the wheels take over the frame. So that way the frame is off the ground, and all you have to do is just safely just wheel it over to the next dig site. So we're just going to roll it all the way up over here. Until we get right to about where we want to drill. And that should be good enough right there. All right, so we'll go ahead and get this thing turned on here. May take a couple of pumps before we get it going. There we go. We'll give it a few minutes to warm up here. Gonna lower it down to the dirt. There we go. Okay, and now we're ready to start drilling. Here we go. Might be a little noisy here, so hang on. Now that hole was pretty easy to drill. It didn't take much. It just dropped straight down. So that was pretty darn easy. That was pretty darn easy to drill. That was really soft material there. It just went straight down. It was much easier than I thought. We didn't hit any big rocks at all. So we'll go ahead and move this drill over to the next site and we'll punch the next hole. All right, time to move it to number 2 site. So we'll kind of clear it off a little bit. And you know, the ground doesn't have to be super level, just, you know, close enough to get this thing to work. Now I'm just going to go ahead and grab the drill rig. Going to tip it up. And we're just going to wheel it right on over to the next site here. There we go. Now we're ready to start digging another hole. So we'll go ahead and get it fired up again. Unlatch it. Drop it down a little bit. There we go. Okay, switch on. And just that simple, we're ready to start drilling again. Now this one's got rocks in it. Now, if you've noticed this, I'm hitting a lot more rocks, so it's harder to drill down here. You see all those chunky rocks down there? Okay, so this is making it a little harder to get down, and that's what you want. So that looks like actually good material, to tell you the truth. So I'm going to keep on drilling down. There we go. Okay, it looks like we hit a lot of rocks on this hole here. Here's a big chunk that came up. And I think what's going on is I actually smacked into a big rock down below, and that's the farthest I can drill. I can feel it chipping off the side of it. So if I move the drill rig over a little bit, we might be able to get down a little bit further, but the way this rock is showing, this looks like this is caliche. So I think we're probably on the bottom. If not, we're pretty close. So we'll go ahead and call this good, and we'll go ahead and move over to hole number 3. All right, so this hole here, it's got a bush in the way, so we're going to compensate. I've got the marker sitting right here, but you know what? We'll just bring in the drill rig. In fact, we'll just set it right about in here somewhere. I mean, it's close within a foot or so. And that's where we'll kind of start making our hole right about there, so that way we're not bothering the bushes. So now go ahead and get the drill rig. Tip it up again. Oh, one more time. Here we go. Make sure I don't fall in my other holes that I drilled. And oh, by the way, just so nobody freaks out, I do bury my holes after I'm done digging them, okay? So we're going to do that afterwards. Okay, so now we have this sitting here, least amount of impact with the bushes, and now we can go ahead and start drilling the next hole. So here we go. Switch on. This looks like good stuff. Good stuff. Look at the red dirt down there. Can you folks see that red dirt? Woo! Oh yeah. Okay, so those of you who probably were watching, we actually drilled down through a red zone, which actually tells you there's clay. But notice that the dirt that was at the bottom is now white. So I think I was actually hitting the caliche and drilling into the caliche itself. So I think that's probably good enough for now. Like I said, I think these holes are only going to be a couple feet deep at the very most anyway, and that's probably about right. So, all right. All right, so we got all these holes drilled. So now what we're going to do is clean out all the material so we can run it through the wash plant. I especially like this hole because it's actually showing a lot more reds in it, similar to what we're getting back there on the area where I'm digging. So this is very looking like very similar stuff. It's very red. Actually looks real good here. So, and unfortunately the ground is still kind of dry, so it's collapsing in on itself, even if as I try to hand dig some of this down. And I know some of you have got some ideas about how to drill holes and stuff like that, but you know, when the ground is bone dry like this, there's not much you can do, you know, without advancing a collar sleeve down there and all that, and you know, it's just too much time. So anyhow, this is what we're doing, what we get. So we'll go ahead and use the post hole shovel and see if we can scoop out some more down here. A lot of hard work. Whoever said gold mining is going to be easy, it's going to make you work for it. Now this hole is looking a little better. It's not collapsing as bad as the other one. Ah, yeah, here it is. Yep, we're on the bedrock here. You can see this hole was pretty successful. You can see, if you can look down in there, you can see the bedrock, see the white stuff, that's all caliche. In fact, I'll shine my flashlight on it so you can kind of see it a little better. See all that white right there? That's all caliche. So we dig down as far as we can get. So that's really going to be a really nice hole. All right, now when we got the hole all sucked out and everything, all the material removed, we'll go ahead and collapse it in so that way no animals will fall into it. There we go. and that should do it for the meantime. We'll smooth it out a little bit later. Well, we have all the buckets filled up with dirt from the holes that we drilled. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is run it through the Gold Rattler wash plant. For those of you who are new to the channel and haven't seen the Gold Rattler before, I suggest you go to my channel and check out the 2 Gold Rattler videos that I've previously made over the past few months. So that way you can check it out and understand what it's all about. It's a trailer mounted wash plant. This is my commercial prototype that I'll eventually be manufacturing and selling in the far future. So anyhow, we're going to go ahead and fire this up and run some material through so we show you how it works. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the wash plant. So I'm just going to lift this lid here. This is the controls the dewatering deck. So I'm going to flip this switch first and then second, and that gets the dewatering deck moving. You can see all the dirt and debris flowing down the dewater deck. All right. Then the next box here has got the controls to turn on the upper shaker deck. So we'll turn on the upper shaker deck. And you see it all vibrating there, and that's what we want. Okay, and then the next switch that I'm going to hit is going to turn on the water. And there's our water spraying, our spray bars. And if you look carefully, you can see the water swishing around in the top shaker deck, washing around. That'll help spin around this flowing through to wash the rocks, and then down onto the sluice. And then down onto the dewatering deck, and then we go down through the filter system that's on the bottom, so all the water that goes through the deck ends up through a set of sand filters. And again, like I said, you can go check out my other videos so you can see this wash plant in action. All right, so let's go ahead and run some material through here and see if there's any gold in these drill holes that we made. Drill hole number 1 going in. We're just going to pour it in here. You can see all the rocks churning around, mixing with the sprayers and vibrating and shaking loose, getting rid of all the material, breaking free the gold. And you can see these larger rocks up here. Notice how they're flowing a little slower than the smaller rocks. That's because they have a little bit more hang time, so you get a little better wash. That way all the material is completely washed from the rocks. That way when they're coming off the back end here, they're absolutely whistle clean. Look at that. Just absolutely whistle clean. Pretty cool, isn't that? And you see the dewatering deck here, getting rid of all the gooey clay that normally would be gumming up your system, and it's the first step in a filtration process. Okay, now we just run through the first bucket, okay? So now what we're going to do is shut it off, take the sluice mat out, clean it up, put it all back in so we can run number 2. We'll take the concentrates from that sluice mat and put it in a pan so we can pan it out later. We'll go down through the shutdown process. Going to turn off the water first. Then we're going to turn off the upper shaker deck second. Okay. And then we go ahead and turn off the dewatering deck. Now we're going to take this deflection plate. I'm going to loosen up the thumb screw here on both sides. And this plate's going to tip downward like this. Okay. So that way when we go to wash the sluice out, it'll flow out the bottom into the collection pan. So now we'll go ahead and release the clamp that's holding down the sluice mat, and there's one on each side, so we're just going to flip that up. Both sides. There we go. And we'll just take that out, and we'll just set it on top of the fender well. Same with this one here, we'll just do the same. Okay. Now I know it's kind of a pain having to do this for all 5 holes that we just drilled, but it's a lot faster and easier than if you were to sit there and pan several buckets worth of material. So it's just quicker to do it this way. So we'll go ahead and pull the mat out, and what I'm going to do is take this little bucket here, and I'm just going to set it right here, pull this mat out so it falls into here. And we know the gold is predominantly at the top of the mat here. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to spin it around and flip it down so that way I can wash this first. So I'm just going to shake it a little bit, shake it a little bit, shake it a little bit on the back end. All right, there we go. Now the mat is all clean. It's got a few rocks that are stuck in it, but no big deal. Okay, so if there's any gold trapped in there, it's now inside this tub. What we're going to do now is just kind of clean out the bottom of the sluice and all the debris. So I'm just going to throw that water up there, let it just flow right into my Maverick pan. There we go. So if there's any gold trapped in here, we'll include it with the sample. And so we have a set of gold pans here. Okay, and I got them all labeled except the first one will be number 1. I got 2 through 5. So we'll go ahead and just take this first little pan here, set it right here. Now the wind's blowing like really hard out here right now. It's blowing like 40 miles an hour. So hopefully that pan will stay put while I do this. We're just gonna throw the dirt in there and wash it out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's the first pan. And that's the first drill hole. So we'll put that back in. So now we got our dirt, which we'll pan out a little later. We're going to do the same thing for all 5 holes. We're going to go through the same process over and over. So I'll bring you back after we run all 5. I'll bring you back and then we'll go through the pan out and see what kind of values we get. Hey guys, the wind is really blowing super hard right now. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and pan out all the drill holes. So I've got this very first pan, this hole number 1. And as you remember, this is the hole that actually sunk real super fast. It was real super easy. So I think it's kind of more sandy, silty kind of material because that's all I was getting out of the hole. So hey, we'll go ahead and pan this one first and see what we get. So in order to do that, I'm not going to use these little small gold pans. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the Maverick pan instead, okay? I like this pan to actually work with my sluice concentrates. So we'll go ahead and just empty this all out. I'm starting to see a lot of heavy black sand starting to show up. I'm just going to take a moment, put my glasses on so I can see better. Okay, very good. So now we'll just put a little bit of water in it. Gonna tap, tap, tap to get the gold to stay in the top here. And I'll spin the pan around to make it easier for you to see, especially in the sunlight. The sun is kind of going down on us, so it's kind of low in the west. So I'm just going to tip it this way so we can see if there's any gold in here or not. You can see the black sand through here. I'm not seeing any gold yet. Okay, we have one piece of gold right there. Right there, a little shiny piece there. You see it? One little speck so far showing up. Okay. So we got a little speck. You can still see it. It's sitting right there. Right out the edge of my finger there. You got to get it out of the shadow. Yep. There we go. Okay, so we got a little speck. Oh, we got speck number 2 right here. A little speck, another little second speck. I see a whole bunch of really tiny specks that are like, 200 mesh. You can just barely see them. See them glistening in the sunshine. See if there's any in this corner over here. Yep, there's a little bit. So you see, we got a couple more little dots right here. Nothing really spectacular, nothing to write home about, but yeah, there is some gold. All right, folks, it looks like pan number 2 is a bust. This is the second time I'm testing it just to see. But yeah, there's nothing happening here. A lot of little speckly, sparkly pieces of whatever, but not gold. Unfortunately, the rest of our test holes turned up nothing. We ended up with 0 gold in all the other pans. And I really thought that number 3 was going to be great because it actually had a lot of black sand in it. So, oh well, we still got 5 more holes to drill. So let's go ahead and drag this drill rig over there and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we got drill hole number 6 all set up, so let's go ahead and do it. It's kind of on unstable ground. It kind of rocks a little bit with this frame, so I'm going to kind of stand on it to give it a little bit of support here. So let's go ahead and get this guy fired up. Okay, number 6 is done. We got 7, 8, 9, 10 to do, and then we'll go ahead and take all this dirt from the hole just like we did before, run it through the wash plant, and then we'll go ahead and pan it all out and see what we get. Here we go with test hole number 6, going in the wash plant. Now we'll run all the test holes through here and then we'll pan them out. Woo, look at that thing just chew up those rocks. You can see all the tailings dropping in the wheelbarrow. Yeah, everything's flowing real good. Let's hope we can get some gold out of this. Okay, we got all our drill samples processed through the wash plant and all the concentrates confined into the pans here. So we got number 6 all the way up through number 10. So let's go ahead and pan this out and see if we have anything. Now I am seeing a lot of garnets dotted through here, a whole bunch of tiny little garnets. This is hole number 6, by the way. This is the hole directly behind hole number 1, which actually had some gold in it. So it's just 10 feet further up. And let's see if we get lucky with this and see if we're going to find anything or not. Of course, hole number 1 only had just a few little pieces. It wasn't anything really grandiose or anything. And we do have a piece of gold here. Here's just a couple little specks. I'll pull them out here so you can see them a little better. Kind of get them washed out. Little tiny specks, nothing to write home about. But you can kind of see them. There's one there. A couple of dots here and here and here. So yeah, we have a few of them, but not really a whole lot to show. Thought I'd save you all the panning process. This is number 7 coming up to you. And I don't know if you can really see it in the camera here. We've got a whole bunch of clusters of tiny, tiny little specks. I mean, they look like they're all of 150 mesh. They're pretty tiny, but a nice little grouping. A little bit more than number 6, but yeah, still not much to write home about. But there is some gold in there. And there's a nice little piece up here in the corner. A tiny little larger speck. That's probably all of maybe 100 mesh. And that's about it. So all right, on to number 8 is kind of a bust too. You can kind of see a few little specks right here. Same thing as pan number 7, but really nothing really. I'm looking for chunky gold here, like I'm digging right now, and I'm not seeing it. So all I'm getting is these fine little specks, and that's about it. So really, number 8's kind of a bust, so let's go ahead and move on to 9. Turns out we did a little better in pan number 9. Here we have a nice little piece of gold right there off my tip of my finger. You see it there? So that's not too bad. And there's a few other little tiny nano dots alongside of it here. So a little better. Not much, but I'd say that piece is probably about like 30 or 40 mesh. So not too bad. Well, I thought I'd bring in the last little part of number 10 here to see if we have any gold or not. Not really seeing a whole lot. There's a lot of black sand. I mean, the thing is really loaded with black sand and a lot of garnets in here, but not seeing any yellow stuff yet. Well, yeah, there might be a few little specks right across here, same as some of the other drill holes. Yeah. Very, very tiny. Very tiny. Let's see if there's anything in this corner here. See if we can bring it out. Yeah, not really seeing a whole lot there either. Like I said, just lots of little tiny dots, tiny little specks. That's about it. Well, we didn't do as well as I thought we would with all our drill testing up there, thinking that maybe this clayish material continues further up the wash. It probably does, because I know as I was drilling down, I was seeing this red clay up there. It was showing up. And then when I was running the concentrates, you could see the black sand in each pan. It was pretty awesome. So it's got a lot of good indicators. But unfortunately, we didn't find any of the chunky gold that we're normally used to in this clay zone that's been working. So I'm not sure what to think. It could be that just by bad luck that maybe the drill holes that I was sinking in there was just missing the little chunks, because probably they're further disseminated throughout the clay body here. It could be that maybe this runs out. Maybe that's it. And then up here behind the Joshua tree, there's no more. So I'm going to continue to work this zone because I know I've got good chunky gold here. I've got about 6 yards piled up here of pay waiting to run through the gold rattler. So we'll be doing that in future videos. So anyway, that's kind of what I think. Let me know what you think. Write down some of your comments and suggestions, things of that sort. Now, Be nice about it too. Don't write any kind of weird or any kind of rude comments, because I'll just delete those. But anyway, if you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell so that way you can get future updates with my videos. And be sure to smash that like button and also hit the share button so that way you can share this with all your friends. So in the meantime, I want to wish you the very best in your prospecting adventures. Get out there and find some gold, because it's still out there. And we'll see you next time, and thank you for watching.